42 years before California steel industries opened, another steel mill's legacy began.
My dad and my grandfathers both worked out here.
Most of the guys that I work with, their fathers worked here and their fathers worked here. So they had legacy going back into World War II.
In 1941, as World War II escalated, the U.S. needed ships, planes, and armaments. With the East unable to meet shipyard demands, Henry J. Kaiser established a steel mill 50 miles inland from Los Angeles.
And they picked Fontana because it was 50 miles from the ocean. And I guess back then, things couldn't come 50 miles.
Safe from coastal attacks, to provide the West Coast's first rolled steel plates for Liberty and Victory ships. And in 1943, Henry Kaiser and Dr. Sidney Garfield opened a 50-bed hospital with 6 physicians to serve the 3,000 employees and their families at the new Kaiser Steel mill.
It was the Kaiser Hospital, the only one.
I did work with a couple teammates that were born here.
I know of actually 3 individuals that were actually born there.
I worked with several people here, and they're born right here, right at the steel mill at Kaiser.
The Kaiser mill thrived for 40 years, employing a workforce of 10,000 people, until economic conditions forced its closure in 1983.
Back during the time when it shut down, I just remember that there was a lot of stress in our household, a lot of uncertainty.
It was a big impact to the entire area. You were talking 8,000 to 10,000 people that worked for Kaiser Steel. Here's the major employer in the area that all of a sudden wasn't.
However, this was not the end for the facility grounds. It was just the beginning.
Michael Wilkinson had several steel companies here in Southern California, and he recognized that there was a need for a steel supplier on the West Coast. So he put together the partnership with CBRD at that time and Kawasaki to reopen the mills.
In August 1984, aiming to revive a strong steel presence west of the Rockies, JFE Steel Group, formerly Kawasaki Steel, and Nucor Corporation purchased the remnants of the Kaiser Steel mill. They established California Steel Industries, sparking the beginning of a unique entity in the steel industry.
If Kaiser shut down, how is CSI going to evolve? How's that going to play out?
You should have seen the line at Human Resources was outside, almost a mile long, people in line trying to get a job.
When I hired in, I was told by the 2 that were interviewing me that this would be a perfect place for me to save up some money, because they didn't think the place was going to be around for much longer than 5 years.
I didn't think it would actually keep on going, because we were really running on a shoestring.
At the beginning, we were putting everything together with Band-Aids and scrap. Anything that we could fix, we would fix in-house.
There was a lot of work to be done, and everybody put in the hours that were needed to get it up and running again.
California is a tough place to run a steel mill. There's always room for growth in all the mills.
I remember the first day that we ran slabs through the hot strip mill, and that was exciting. Everybody came down to the mill to watch it happen, and the guys were running across the floor following the slab.
CSI represents manufacturing in the Inland Empire. It is a legacy company that you can talk to a lot of people who live here, who grew up here, and have worked here. It really is the gem of manufacturing in our region.
Over the years, we started spending some money here, and you can see the improvements throughout the mill, especially when Nucor came in.
On December 13th, 2021, it was announced that Nucor had bought out Vail's share in the company, along with a small portion of JFE's, to become the majority owner of California Steel Industries.
It's almost like we were in an island, and now we're part of a whole country, right? So being part of Nucor, we can share, I think most importantly, knowledge and share that culture as well.
Even when we started CSI, safety wasn't the word that you hear today. It was not as important as it is today. That's something I think that has evolved.
And now Nucor, it's always been very focused on safety, very interested in investing in making everything that has to do with safety, quality, production better.
Becoming part of Nucor opens up a whole lot of opportunities, opens up capital, so more projects.
Biggest one is that they're looking to build a third galvanizing line.
And in December 2022, Nucor Corporation unveiled plans to establish a new number 3 continuous galvanizing line at CSI. This state-of-the-art facility will boast an impressive annual capacity of 400,000 tons. With this addition, CSI's total hot-dip galvanizing capacity will soar to 1.2 million tons per year. This expansion not only underscores CSI's commitment to meeting growing market demands, but also signals a strategic move for future growth for both CSI and Nucor, positioning them as leaders in the industry for years to come.
What CSI does for the economy of Southern California and the West Coast is incredibly important, and we need to appreciate that.
The people want to come here and stay here and retire here.
My daughter works here. She was a couple of months old when I started working. I was telling people we're going to be here for another 100 years with Nucor.
The older teammates need to make sure that they're taking care of those younger teammates, because those younger teammates, they are our future. They're the future of this mill. They're the future of the area.
My mother hired like the first 400 people and was close to all of them. 40 years later, I get it. I understand.